Impact of developmental issues in male Division I athletes' academic motivation and physical performance at Power 5 schools. The research project focuses on the developmental issues Division I, or D1, student athletes experience, the repercussions of these issues, and possible solutions. Most often, student athletes performing at the D1 level are more invested with their athletic improvement and, as a result, fail to further their education and other skills necessary to human development. Human development is understood to be the process of enlarging people's freedoms and opportunities and improving their well-being. Most skills necessary to human development are reinforced and built upon while in college. However, top student athletes often struggle to develop these important skills because of their constraining athletic environment. In recent years, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, NCAA, has become aware of the developmental issues top student athletes are susceptible to during their time on campus and conclude that these issues are directly related to the athletic environment. Despite this recognition, little has been done to improve the development of D1 student athletes athletically and academically. The athletic environment at top tier universities consists of intensity and commitment, and as a result, student athletes find it difficult to grow and develop as a person. For example, the time commitment and challenges of balancing school and athletics that student athletes have to overcome changes their mindset of being a student athlete to just being an athlete. The time an athlete is required to interact with their sport, practicing, games, watching film, working out, team meetings, takes away from an athlete's ability to split time between academics and athletics. Another constraint D1 student athletes face is seclusion from the rest of the student body. Student athletes are often isolated from other students not only because of their geographic and temporal separations, but also because of their physical and cultural differences. Examples of this can be found in the fact that student athletes are secluded to their own dorm rooms across campus, thus separating them from non-athletic college conversations and habits. Further, an athlete's time is often spent away from campus, thus alienating the athlete from a traditional college schedule. This seclusion leaves student athletes unable to interact with students who have different goals, aspirations, tensions, ethnicities, and cultural backgrounds, which denies student athletes the opportunity to broaden their foreclosed view of the world. This developmental issue will affect the student athlete in the classroom, as they will not take on leadership roles because they feel uncomfortable and do not want to open themselves up to scrutiny. Further, student athletes often have bad relationships with their professors. This disconnect between athletes and their professors stems from the relationship student athletes have with their coaches. Student athletes have become accustomed to loud, negative feedback, but in the classroom, teachers are more open-minded and reward their students even when they have accomplished little. This positive feedback leaves the student athlete unaware of how to do better or what to accomplish next. With a growing concern for the development of intercollegiate student athletes, researchers explored potential use for intervention models based on a psychoeducational approach. In other words, they explored the potential of sports psychology in a developmental and preventative context. Eddie Comics, an assistant professor at the University of Kentucky, and Keith Harrison, an associate professor and director of the Paul Robinson Research Center for Academic and Athletic Prowess at the University of Central Florida, created a model for college student-athlete academic success. This model offers a culturally inclusive approach to influence student-athlete academic success at D1 institution. The model is broken down into 4 parts, titled Pre-College, Initial Commitments, Social System, and Commitments, with the final result of academic success. These categories each contain 2 or 3 subcategories which outline the goals of that main category. Thus, the model provides a conceptual framework for understanding research on college student athletes and also can serve as a guide for future analysis. All the restraints that student athletes experience cause them to experience failure in the future because they do not have the skills necessary to prepare them for life outside of athletics. On campus, student athletes have many readily available resources, such as tutors, life coaches, athletic coaches, trainers, and psychologists. These resources can be very helpful, but they also hinder the student-athlete's ability to make decisions for themselves, as they become dependent on others to make all the decisions in their lives. This type of dependent behavior is characterized as dualistic thinking. Dualistic thinking is characterized by a strong belief in being either good or bad. While on campus, these issues are not apparent, but after a student-athlete leaves campus, they often struggle to make decisions and plans on their own. One of the biggest challenges a student-athlete faces is transitioning out of sports and re-examining their identity. So much of their young lives is driven by athletics, and they struggle to find out who they are without them. In order to help counteract a student athlete's inability to handle the problems they face on campus and in life after graduating, sports psychologists utilize sports psychology to create intervention models for developmental and preventative purposes. While there are many models, top sports psychologists admit each of these models are flawed. There is no model that is a one-size-fits-all program. Every student athlete is different, and while different models try to target a specific group of student athletes from a specific race or social class, it is still likely a student athlete will not find success using the model despite fitting the criteria. Further, as previously mentioned, schools offer many programs and support systems for student athletes while on campus, but these practices have an expiration date. After graduating, student athletes are treated as if they have the means and skills necessary to handle the pressures of everyday life without sports. However, most often, student athletes who have cut corners academically to further improve their athletic ability do not have the life skills typical college graduates possess. Therefore, student athletes are not properly equipped to overcome the challenges of modern-day life. Although Power 5 schools successfully coach their student athletes to success on the field, the academic side of a student athlete's life is hindered as a result. These schools put programs in place to help their student athletes navigate the challenging academic course load, but after graduation, student athletes are unprepared because they can no longer utilize these programs and rely on others' help. Student athletes often struggle with their academic work for many reasons, all of which are related to the athletic environment. These issues, while most apparent during and after college, can take place at any time and predominantly begin to occur in middle and high school. Top student athletes usually distinguish themselves athletically from the rest of their classmates early on, and continue the rest of their schooling with the notion they will play in college and aspire to play professionally. Unfortunately, these lofty goals are often unobtained, and the star student athlete who focused more on athletics than school is now struggling to adjust to life outside of sports without the many essential lessons the other students have already mastered. Until top schools put more emphasis on student athletes' academics rather than athletics, those schools should be responsible to maintain, at least to some degree, the programs student athletes have available to them while on campus. Through the research project, more questions have arisen, specifically relating to psychoeducational models and the support programs schools offer to their student athletes. A topic for further research would be creating a model that correctly addresses a larger number of student athletes. Thus far, psychologists have found this difficult and have resorted to utilizing multiple different models. While having many models is always better, it would be more effective to have a single model that helped the majority of student athletes counteract the many issues they face attempting to handle the immense pressures of athletics and academics. Also, for further research, it would be interesting to learn how productive it would be to create a system that at first allows a graduated student athlete to utilize all the programs at his disposal while he was on campus, but over time gradually wean off the amount of support given to that student athlete. This system would likely allow student athletes a more gradual transition out of sports, possibly making life outside of sports more manageable for the student athlete.